participate in this meeting. As soon as we get everybody checked in, as you can see, this is a large crowd. It takes a lot of time. Thank you for your patience. And we will begin as soon as we get the next 30 people signed in. Now, there are a couple seats up here. There's some seats in the hallway. There is a TV out there, so you can listen. Okay?
40 seats downstairs.
There's 40 seats downstairs. Thanks, Jared. Okay, thank you so much. For tonight. So before we start the meeting, we've got about 5 more people to check in. If you could please get all of the handouts.
Get them before they're gone.
My 4th video today. I have a golf chair. So it keeps on putting holes in the floor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lockport Township residents. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:17 p.m. This is our Lockport Township annual town meeting that is held once a year. So welcome, everybody, and we are going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For those of you that do not know me, I am the Lockport Township Clerk. It is the Lockport Township's clerk the responsibility to conduct the annual town meeting. The clerk has 4 official duties regarding a town meeting, and that is providing notice of the meeting, which, as I can see, everybody received notice of this meeting, conveying the meeting, verifying the registration of voters in Lockport Township, and taking minutes at this meeting. So, there was a meeting held on December 4th of 2014, and the electors at that meeting tabled an agenda item that had to do with a building project that the township has on the table. So, with that, I would like a motion from the floor to remove the discussion and resolution from that December 4th meeting that was originally presented from the table.
So moved.
I have a point of order.
Okay, not yet. There's a motion, then a second, then there'll be discussion.
But the point of order I will do after this. The point of order is I thought all of our business was supposed to be done after we elected our moderator.
You have to bring it off the table first, ma'am, or there's nothing to
No,
talk
but you
about.
could do it there because we tabled it during our meeting. We should take it off the table.
Which is what we're doing. That's what the motion's for.
Elected our moderator yet.
Well, ma'am, if you don't have,
I thought all business should be done after we've elected our moderator.
thank you for your time. There's been a motion for a selection of a moderator, or excuse me, to bring it off the table. There needs to be a second.
Motion by Ken Griffin, is that correct? Ken Griffin, is there a second motion? Second by Paul Siegel. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. The motion is carried. Now we will continue with our annual town meeting. I want to explain the purpose of this meeting before we nominate a moderator. So the agenda item that was approved by the Board of Trustees was a request of the electors, which is all of you, for authorization to rent or purchase property upon which Township Center will be constructed. B, the request of electors for authorization to construct Township Center along with any and all vendor and contractor contracts as required. So that is the purpose of this meeting tonight. Nothing else can be brought up here tonight or voted upon. At the end of the meeting, you can bring up other items, but they cannot be voted upon, okay? So, I need a nomination for a moderator.
Madam Clerk, I'd like to nominate John Badisich.
Okay, there is a motion to nominate John Badisich as moderator. Is there a second? Second by Debbie Mason. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay. Okay, we're going to have to do a raise of hands. Okay, everybody.
I have a nomination also.
Yeah, what about
Okay, after, okay, there's, okay.
Nominations, you can't just do one nomination and vote on it.
Okay, so we do have a motion for a moderator, so we're gonna, this is what we did last time, and I think it worked well. Am I correct, Attorney Mueller?
We can take nominations, take another name, take as many names as you want, we'll vote on them. That's it.
Okay. Is there another nomination?
I nominate Paul Siegel.
Okay, there's a nomination by, state your name please.
Mega Zilka.
Mava Zilka, and who was the second?
Bob Baldwin.
I'm sorry?
Robert Baldwin.
Robert Baldwin?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 2 nominations. Are there any more nominations from the floor for moderator? Okay, the nominations are closed. So we need a vote for John Bodisich. So all in favor of John Bodisich, please raise your hand. And Mr. Wheeler, would you mind counting the votes?
Really high, please. Yeah, hold down. I don't know what it is. I know 41 are in here.
Okay, can I have somebody downstairs? Debbie Mason's gonna go downstairs and we're gonna get a count. If you could all please be very patient with this, because we do, like I said, we have an overflow downstairs. As you know, this room can only hold 152 people, so we'll get the count downstairs and we will resume.
May I suggest that you establish some kind of telephone communication between here and downstairs? You're going to take up a lot of time in this meeting.
Excuse me, I have a question. While you're raising your hands and counting, do you know how many people are here so that you do not have people to vote? Without that, raising of your hands is not a legitimate way to count.
I believe we are at capacity in this room, which is 152. There are, I believe, 3 people in this room that are not Lockport Township residents. I ask that you please do not vote for this. I mean, of course, you're more than welcome to be present at this meeting, but you cannot vote. We marked your hand with an X. Could you stand, please, whoever the Lockport Township residents are, who are not Lockport Township residents in this room? I believe there's 3 of them that cannot vote. There's 1, 2, Sue, you're not a Lockport Township? Okay. There's somebody from Homer, he may be downstairs, so, from Homer Township.
There's 15 for John, 18 for John and 15 for the, for the total of 33 people.
Now we need a raise of hands for Paul Siegel to be moderator at this meeting. Excuse me. Okay, the numbers,
Microphone.
excuse me, please do not speak out unless someone has asked you to speak, okay? Thank you so much. The numbers are for John Bodisich,
59,
59, and for Paul Siegel,
107.
107.
79.
So, Paul Siegel, would you please come up to the front? Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I didn't notice. Oath of moderator of the town meeting, State of Illinois, the Township of Lockport, and Will County. And repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
I will faithfully and impartially discharge
the duties of moderator
the duties of moderator
at this town meeting.
at this town meeting.
Signed and sworn today on April 14th, 2015. Okay?
The next action would be to ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the April 8, 2014 town meeting. Name?
Ron, please move the mic closer to him.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Carl Beverly, so motion. Second.
This procedure, this point of order needs to be said.
Can we have those minutes read?
I'm told by the attorney that to vote, you need to have been at that meeting,
You can't approve meetings that you didn't.
minutes that you weren't there for.
I won.
You were, okay, very good. In a second?
I'll second. Debbie Mason.
You're first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? I'd like to ask for a approval of the minutes for the town meeting of December 4th, 2014. You need to have been at that meeting to approve the minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Mike Lewandowski.
I'll second it.
Let's see, who's in the back?
Sharon Hurtley.
Sharon Hartford. All in favor? Any against? The agenda calls for a motion to dispense with the reading of the full financial report. Do we need a There's approval to, so I need a vote to dispense with the reading.
Yes, sir. I'll second that.
Second. All in favor? Any against?
No.
For the minutes, anyone that makes or seconds a motion or speaks, please give the recorder your name. Ask for the approval of the financial report. We ran out of the back, but look for a motion to approve the financial report as posted.
I make a motion that we read it since we don't have a copy of it.
Okay.
That was, Mabel was addressed in a full reading of the financial report.
Oh, okay.
by previous vote.
Okay, that's all right.
So still looking for a motion. Please state your name. Second, please.
I'll second. Another recall.
All in favor? Aye. Any against? We next need to decide what type of ballot we will use tonight, whether it will be a voice vote or a anonymous written ballot.
So just go ahead, I just wanted to say, motion for the voice vote, see what, in a second, see if there's, I have a vote on that and see what the numbers and then.
I'll make the motion.
Can you do the hand count again, or
Voice
does
vote.
it have to be one of those two?
Pardon me?
Can you? I was just curious, can you do a hand count instead of a voice or a ballot?
Hand count, we need to go on.
Yes, I would agree that I would ask for those that would be in favor of a hand count, as we did in the previous vote, rather than a voice count. So all those who would like to have a voice, or I'm sorry, a vote by hand, raise your hand.
Clarification, please. Is that, I'm not sure what the motion is for at this point. Is it just to distinguish between the two forms?
Yes, those people that want to have a voice, rather than a voice vote, a hand vote. And after that, we will take a vote to see who would like to have a written ballot. So there'll be two choices. Now is for a hand count, and after that, we will take a hand count for those who would like a written ballot, and then proceed. So again, the first of the two votes would be, please raise your hand if you would prefer a hand count for the balance of the meeting. Safe to say that that's the majority. We will take a hand count for those who would like a written ballot. With the floor up here, and even if everybody downstairs voted for the written ballot, I'd say the hand count has won. We'd like a nomination for, okay, so, point of order, how will we be counting that hand vote? By one person?
You can do it whatever way you like.
You need
You
3
gotta have
judges to count.
whomever you.
I would prefer to have 2 people counting, just so that there's no discrepancy as to the count. Not a distrust of anyone, but just with as many people as we have here, I think we should have 2 people counting. So do we already have one, and we're looking for a second, or are we looking for 2?
I think you're looking at, so you take nominations just like we did for that.
Okay, so we're going to take nominations for 2 moderator, or for 2 people to officially count the votes by hand count. We take nominations.
I have a point of order.
Okay.
If the clerk was going to be one of the counters to originally begin with on this agenda, would it not be the clerk and one other to assist her?
Because
Right.
this is
I mean, that's what's on the agenda.
Right.
That we were
That's not the point of order.
going to nominate
It's
someone
done.
to assist her. So we need one to assist the clerk. Correct?
Excuse me, I have a question on that.
Please state your name,
My
ma'am.
name is Jacqueline Mathis, and I am a registered voter in the township. The clerk and anyone who works for the township has a vested interest in the way it goes. I would like to see impartial people do the vote. I think this gentleman right here, he made the first common sense suggested vote. But, you know, I mean, that's who I would nominate. I think that, I don't know whether he'd want it or not, but I certainly would feel good about him doing it. No. But I think it should be some.
My desire was, by having two people, would be to have a second person that would be impartial. Would like to think that all our elected officials are impartial. However, you just verify that. So,
Nomination for one person.
I'll nominate Jim Dees.
okay. And your name?
Quiet.
Hey, we're taking nominations. I hate these things. He usually gets used on me. We're going to accept one, a nomination for one vote counter, and we have.
Jim Dees.
That's a motion, we still need a second.
That's a motion. Do we have a second for him?
So James McGuffin.
I have a nomination. My name
Yes.
is Mava, and I nominate.
Mava, I think she was standing first. Sorry.
I would like to nominate Denise Marinowski.
Denise Marinowski has been nominated by, your name please?
I'm sorry, Barbara Dornan.
Barbara Dorn. Do we have a second to that nomination? John?
John Barbush, I second that.
John Burrow? Do we have any other nominations from the floor? A hand is up in the back.
I nominate Carl Weber,
Your name, please?
Teresa Chavez,
And your nominee, who, please?
Carl.
Okay. We have a second?
No, I have a suggestion only.
We have a second before we can move on. Do we have a second to his nomination?
I'll second.
And you are who?
Denise Marinowski.
Thank you, Denise.
And I'll withdraw my name because Jim or Carl are fine with me.
We need whoever seconded Ms. Marinowski's nomination to please withdraw the second, and then we need the nomination to be withdrawn as well. So who made the second to Ms. Marinowski? Would you withdraw your second?
In respect to Ms. Marinowski, I would withdraw, yes.
The person who nominated Ms. Marinowski, would you entertain the ability to... Sorry?
He wishes to withdraw the nomination.
She didn't make it.
I withdraw the nomination.
Thank you.
Do you have another? Yes?
I have a suggestion. My name is Millie Lysak, Township. I think half of the people should raise their hand, and as they raise their hand, and they put it down.
Point of order, I'm sorry. We didn't take a vote. We had a first and a second, but we didn't have a vote. Do we need a...
We just need a nomination from the board that either stop nominations or have more nominations.
I'll make the motion that nominations are closed. I'll second that.
Okay. Now we're done. Which one of these two gentlemen?
You know who first and second?
I'll break one now. Griffin, I believe, is second.
Now we just need... Oh, you just need the moderator.
The people that are in the room downstairs, if you, Mr. Siegel, don't tell us who has been nominated, we don't know who you're referring to.
I'm sorry.
So you had a nomination in a second, but the people on the second floor can't vote on that if you don't announce who it was. Okay?
You need a count of the voter counter down there too. Oh, please.
There is. That's why she's down there.
But she's not appointed.
Don't even know by herself.
We don't have anybody appointed yet, that's what the
Clerk, would you please tell me the names of the first nominee?
Excuse me, may I make a suggestion?
Jane Deans?
I used to all put order. If there's two nominations, only two, why don't we have one stay here and one go downstairs and help? We only have two. We have both. If one stays in this room and helps the clerk, and the other one goes downstairs and helps, or assists the count, then we have one person checking both counts. Correct? Can we do that? Gary, can we do that?
The suggestion was made by a trustee. Suggestion was made by a trustee that since we have people on the third floor where we are that can vote, and people on the second floor that can vote, that by having the clerk on this floor and the second nominee on the second floor, that is sufficient. I would disagree. Perhaps we need to have four, because the whole idea is that everyone's vote is counted by two people to verify that it's accurate. At this point, one person's counting downstairs, one person's counting upstairs, and it somewhat defeats the purpose of having a...
No, that's not. The two nominations from the floor, I'm saying one stay in this floor and help the clerk, and the other one goes downstairs and helps and assists that person. We have two people checking both counts on both floors. That's well, I'm sorry. You're the right. I understand what you're saying now. Understand what I'm saying? There's only two nominations. One stay here and one go downstairs and help.
So one nominee will go downstairs and go and count downstairs by himself, since there's two gentlemen, and the other one will be up here to count or assist here. Yes.
Half hour ago, we already picked 3 people. So, let's move it up here. We already picked 3 people to moderate downstairs.
You can't do that. It's not two separate meetings.
Correct. We already took care of what you're trying to do. Half hour.
We will have a single count or a single vote for both nominees as assistants. So I'd like to call a vote for all those that approve of those two nominees for checking the hand count. Please by raising your hand.
Motion first. And then the second.
Okay, I'm sorry. New with this?
No problem.
I don't get the big bucks, so I don't know that stuff. But we need to have a motion from the floor to accept both nominations for assisting in the hand count. Do I have a motion?
What are their names, Paul?
So moved.
Jim Lausch, and second by
Steve Sly.
Steve. Okay.
And the names are,
Steve Sly, S-O-M.
I'm sorry, the names of the nominees.
And the names of the nominees are Jimmy Deans,
Carl Pepperidge.
Carl Pepperidge.
Yes. And then a motion to vote.
Now we'll have a hand count on those two nominees. Yes. Accept. It's okay. But you don't work. Kenny, could you go downstairs with those people and he can come from the back room? That way we have somebody in the front, somebody in the back. Coming here. Yes, sir, if you would, it's the second floor to come up there. Okay, we will now have a presentation by Supervisor Alberico at this time.
All right, thank you. Before we have the PowerPoint presentation and present the questions and show you our plan, for those who Brian Alberico, in case for those that don't know me, we did pose this question back in December, and they tabled it. It was my understanding from that meeting that you wanted more answers to some of the questions. So we did have brought Dewberry on board as our architectural firm who helped us get some of the answers, along with Jim Schmidt from First Midwest Bank. We also have Dave Myers here, our accountant from Warner Rogers. Before we get into that a little bit, I just want to make a quick statement about, I know there's been a lot of misinformation been sent out through robocalls, through emails, and I hope everybody comes here with a clear, open mind and understands that this is not a question of raising your taxes. That's not what this vote is about. This vote is for whether we're going to put up a building in a community center. We can't raise your taxes. I can't say that enough. We cannot raise your taxes for this building because we have to go to a referendum to do that. If we could raise your taxes without a referendum, every school board, every fire department, everybody would be doing that. We cannot do it without a referendum. So let's make that perfectly clear. This building is going to be done through the existing revenue that we've had, that we've been working on for over 10 years to put this money together to do this building. We've been working on it. We've been looking for something for the future. Back in 2006, we had a referendum that did get passed that pretty much said you wanted us to take care of our seniors. So we took this money, and thanks to our former supervisor, they put a very, very good transportation system and put a resolution in force that said that we were going to someday maybe do some senior housing or a senior center or a community center. We are looking to do that now. These taxes have been doing this for years, saving the money. We have resolutions putting the money aside, and now it's time to make that decision to spend the money. You guys have been paying this money in for a long time. Now it's our time to give it back. This will not be a tax raise, believe me. We've been looking, if the building doesn't get built, doesn't mean that we're not going to do some changes in the township. No building doesn't mean no change, obviously. We have to do something. We have space needs that are really bad in this building. Our assessor is out of room. It's an antiquated building with the electronics that will not support the computers that we have. We have to keep all our file cabinets against the wall because if we put it in the middle of the room, we don't want them falling into the city of Lockport's area. So there's problems. We're going to have to redesign this building. So if we don't build that building, there's going to be some redesigning of this building, I guess is what it comes down to. So we do have space needs. And we have our vital records that we may have to store in a storage unit someplace. We'll have to rent storage. That's where we're at this point. So it's either we build a new building and give this to the city of Lockport who want it, or we redesign this building. So with that in mind, I have Daniel Delano from the Dewberry architectural firm here. He's going to present us with a slideshow.
Thank you.
PowerPoint. Thank you. Daniel?
Ron just went through the first slide. I'm going to run through these slides and kind of just hit some of the highlights. I'm not going to read them to you because I don't want to put anybody to sleep with the PowerPoint.
Please try to speak as close to the mic as you can, because people downstairs can see you, but they can't hear you if you're not speaking into it. Turn this on so we can see the PowerPoint.
Is that a button right there?
If I get too close to it, it seems like okay, there we go. All right, so anyway, why are we building a new building? Ron just hit that. A little bit about who I am. I'm fortunate enough that I work with the Park District in this community. We've also worked with the Library District. So I see some faces in here I know from the Park Board. We work in Romeoville. So we've been in the area. I was my own firm until 2007. I sold it to Dewberry, and now I've been working with them, but I've been basically the same firm for 28 years. Some of the photos we have on here are just showing that we do government work, whether it be Park District, but also for village halls, county work. The building on the top right is Livingston County Law Enforcement Center, followed by Oswego Village Hall, Taylor Park, McCarthy Road, the police and Village Hall, and then Shanahan, and of course the libraries of your district as well as Children's. Three things that we would look at if we're working, if we were fortunate enough to move ahead with this project, is looking at space needs analysis, which I'm going to cover very quickly and talk about, and design and construction. I'm just going to touch on very lightly. That would be in the future. There we go. First one is basically looking at all the parts of the puzzle before we put together a solution. And there's basically four main components. First component being space for the community, public space that we're calling our common space. And then the three areas that we have right now in this building: the supervisor, the clerk, as well as the assessor. So we're trying to understand, and we started that in January of this year. We had a kickoff meeting with these groups and talked with them, the department heads, and Ron, and basically we were at that last bullet there, we were somewhere between about 24,000 square feet, 13,000. We brought different scenarios, and what we're showing tonight is kind of putting that together and our best guess of where we think we're going, which is around, I believe, 16,000 square feet. We also looked at what some of the facts, and that basically is this building that we're in and occupying right now. Item on the left, again, I'm not going to read through all those, but there's a list there of items that impact the way that staff do their work, impact the way you deliver services to everybody in this room, impact the way you get into the building because it is not accessible by the state of Illinois codes that have changed, of course, since the time the building was built. As Ron mentioned, those things can be fixed and addressed. So then we just started to look at what does everybody have, and the red diagram that we have here, the borders, we're showing the supervisor's office, the clerk, the boardroom that we're in is about 2,100 square feet. And I think we did max out the occupancy load today at 150. We have the assessor's office, storage, or basically, and then the men and women's restroom, for a total of 8,580 square feet that you currently are using. Of course, this building, this portion that we're in right now, as everybody knows, is a shared space. It's not dedicated specifically solely for the use of the township. We looked at also very quickly, just went through the different office spaces with staff and talked a little bit about challenges that they have right now and limitations that they have. And basic bottom line is that what we're talking about is improving your service from a confidentiality standpoint, keeping material confidential and secure that should be, as well as putting people in positions and locations that basically can do their work better, and also then serving the residents. Clerk's office, these are very similar. Basically, everybody in this building, as you know, has really tailored the way they work to the way this building was configured, and obviously it's not configured for a township office. So we have an L-shaped clerk's office. It's not very efficient, and not the way certainly that space would be laid out. So again, we're really looking at trying to design space that would conform more to how people want to work as opposed to the way the building is, letting people work. And the assessor, going to the offices, they're shared workstation in that room, there's a conference room in that room, and there's also the office of that individual. And then where other staff are, some of the things that Ron mentioned, limitations the building has as well. Christmas tree there is in a storage room, as well as things that the city puts in there that are not townships and start to take away from space as well. Then we have a listing as the common areas, the medical closet, boardroom, and community room we're in right now. The total's about 4,400 square feet. And what we're going to be showing you in a moment is really starting to make it more flexible so that you don't have this built-in area at the front. This room probably doesn't see as many people in on the guests on very many occasions, unless there's a topic as it is tonight on the table. But we're going to try to provide space and certainly that will allow a lot of different things to happen. So taking that into account, taking into three considerations that we look at is cost, the quality of construction, and of time when you're going to build it. Because we all know that you build something 2 years from now, it's going to cost more than if you start now or you start the next year. Things go up, costs go up. So looking at that and looking at the square footage that we have, put together a chart, and I'm going to try to just go through this kind of quickly, but the four areas that I have there are space names, supervisor, the common area, the public area, clerk, and the assessor. The next column then shows how many people work in those areas. So 3 people are working in the assessor's office. 152 people can occupy this room. And then the rest added on there, total at 168 people. And what we're looking at then on square footage is 8,580 square feet for that, for those various functions. Third column is what we're proposing. What we're proposing is that potentially that it might increase it as well as part-time help, as well as if the township starts to add more people, you need more people serving them. So that has a little bit of growth in it, not a lot. Trying to be conservative, but the big difference is going from a space that you could have 152 people in to a space that you could have 300 people in. And then the proposed square footage in the red diagram there, the dashed area is showing that the big change is about 6,000 square feet roughly, is adding into more common space. I'm going to touch on that in just a moment. So we're looking at a building right now, we're in 8,580 square feet, going into a building that's 16,000 square feet. Next two slides are talking and addressing about more public space for the community. Right now, on the left there, that arrow, about 49% of this building is for offices, and the other 51% is what I will call public space like we're in right now. What we're looking at and proposing something in the future would be the reduction of space proposed for the office would be 36%, and a shift then to 64% for public space. So you're going to get more usable area that you can use for things that maybe you haven't thought about, things you have thought about, things you wish you could do that will be available. With the increase of square footage goes the increase of the opportunity to have larger groups of people get together and have programs. So again, we're going from about 165 to just over 300, or we got more than 2 times the amount of public space. Some of those things that you could use, a community room, we'll show here, it's about double the size of the space that we're in right now. Seating for 250 people, if you wanted to have some kind of banquet activity in there, you could break it down and make it into a dividing room, so that you have a partition in the middle. Picture on the lower right, showing a space that has a sliding partition there. It has a kitchen in the back there. You can see a window with a wood shutter on it, and so you're able to have warm food brought in as well. These are just ideas. This is nothing in concrete. We haven't talked to the community enough to know what this is. It's just showing a possibility. And then on the upper right is where it could be used for children, gross motor skills, playing in indoor space and putting all tables and chairs away. A community room could also be on the lower left there. It could be something that is more of space that you could divide 3 times perhaps. So in this instance, it's a room that there's 3 meeting rooms, A, B, and C. There could be 1 space on the left that's shown on the top there, all expanded. Images on the right show activities that can happen in a community room from the top, or a fair or a crafts show, as well as other images I have here, cards, exercise, low impact exercise, music on the lower right, and then youth camps during the summer. And you'll see in a moment when we're talking about this building potentially being, there's a direct connection with the Park District as well. So some of these programs may seem a little They're not what you do now necessarily, but things that we're looking at potentially that could be a benefit for everyone as far as independent of the age group that is represented here tonight. It could be for all ages. The boardroom then also would be more of a multi-purpose room because again, the boardroom you only need so many times. And for most times, I've been in some of the meetings, it's like most units of government, there's not a lot of folks in the audience unless you have something that is going to be more discussed by the community. So we're looking at downsizing the boardroom, making it smaller, but also still making it where it could be, as these images show, something that's not so dedicated. Tables and chairs could be used there. It's another space that the community can use, because that would probably be really the majority of what that would act as. What does all this cost? We had a construction manager that we worked with. It's actually the construction manager who worked with us with the Park District on Challenge Fitness. And I sent them these numbers to give you some idea. They are really specialists in what they do there. I'm not an estimator, I'm an architect. So we looked at it, I gave them some images that I'm going to show you in a moment, but basically the bottom line is, and these items A, B, C, D, E, and F are what we have on every project. You have a building cost, or sometimes it's called a bricks and mortar. You have a site development, that's your parking, your sidewalk, your landscape, your signage on the exterior of the building. Contingency is things that we don't know about, things that we may add in. So we always put out 10%. We have a total construction cost or bricks and mortar cost of just about $5 million. Soft costs are costs for design professionals such as myself, surveying, soil testing, construction testing, other things that are related to the project to get the work done. And then the total project budget, $6 million is what we think. And again, this is looking into the future. This isn't today's number. We're anticipating this building. I'll show you a timeline of what we think might happen. Best case scenario, we get the vote. People say, yeah, we want to do this. We look at 6 months, do the design work, May through October this year. We have to bid it, go out to the trades within the community, and get an award, contract, and mobilization. That takes about 4 months. Spring construction of 2016, grand opening basically in December then of 2016. So it's about a 21 to 23 month period that we're looking at. And that $6 million is about mid-time of construction, because we know mid-year labor costs go up in the unions, and so we try to reflect that with a 3% escalation and 3 to 5% to help anticipate that. So that's important. If you did delay this and came back, and that happens, I work with agencies that come back to me maybe about 3 years and 4 years, it will cost a little more just because, as we all know, anything that we buy, for the most part, is not staying static, it just increases. So it's really fixed to time on that triangle that I was showing. Quickly on the design, if we were going to get to the next step, some of the things that we would look at. One is, where is it going to be located? Probably most of you know this property off of Renwick Road, right next to the Park District's golf course, Brett Hasser Park. The sports fields are there next to the Township Fire Station that's there. So immediately to the east, north being up, we're looking at possibly putting a parking area there. This is just a diagram, in a building, one-story building that would give the Park District more parking for times that they have soccer games or baseball or other activities going on there. Because you all know there's never enough parking. It would also give the township parking for those times that you don't want to have a parking lot that's like at the mall where you only have full at Christmas time. So you would not necessarily have to build all your parking. You could use some of the Park Districts because of sharing, the opportunity to do some sharing there, as well as the location is a good fit. I think certainly, well, you got two units of government working together and cooperating, and there's a real, I think certainly an advantage that probably hasn't been even thought about yet on what we can do there. The site conditions, some of you may be familiar, probably most of you are. The bottom image on the right, I just took my camera and just moved it around, but that shows that green space next to where the fire station is. That's the property that we're talking about, where the concrete there is dead ending on that photograph. The image on the top right just shows an idea, obviously, what that building looks like from the fire station when you enter it, and trying to maybe make the building that, if we were working with you, what it might look like so it ties in there and starts to look like it belongs. We also probably would have some public open house meetings. This isn't something where it's one and done to get your vote. You don't see it until the day you have the grand opening in 2016. We'd have public meetings. These are images showing sessions where we basically have an opportunity to have residents come in and be able to comment and give input on design as it goes through the process. I'm a Buick man. I can thank my 85-year-old father for that. He instilled in that, in that. But I like to go to the car show. When you go to the car show, you see the concept cars. And you all know that when you see those concept cars, when you have a car in place, they don't look like necessarily what they do when they go into production. They change. So what I'm going to show you in just a minute is an idea of what your building might look like. Isn't meant to be the answer, but it's something that might be a vision of what it could be. And I do like some of these cars here on the Buick. We're looking at a one-story building. We did think about two-story, but we're in a three-story building. We all know the challenges of that with stairs, elevator, and accessibility. We're on a slope lot, right? You open up your door on a hillside here, and you got to make sure you got to catch it so it doesn't go down. So we're on a flat site if we're on that Park District property. This image that we show here on the top right shows a site plan, kind of an aerial view looking at the roof. Might be two entrances. One entrance on the left might be for the community, so if you have a banquet, something going on, you don't have to go through the main door into where the offices might be. And the offices might be on the right side. Again, it's just an idea of what it could be. You can start to see the architecture. It's kind of that watercolor look, where it's kind of fuzzy. It's intentional. It's really just meant to be that lower area might be stone, masonry, to tie in maybe with what's next door, as well as tie into the area. Hard to see, but we've got some pictures here of the canal. And because, of course, Lockport, Romeoville, Joliet, being Shannon, all on the canal, there's architecture that come out of the masonry. So we would use masonry, use arched windows, and proportions that make this community and other communities along the canal who they are, and try to have a sense of place, as well as have some tie-in to how Perk Gulf looks. It's a very handsome clubhouse, and we want to make sure that whatever we put here is going to complement both buildings on either side. This architecture that I'm showing you too, it also has been looked at by a construction manager, so it's not a bait and switch where we're saying, well, we're showing you that, but that costs too much. We think this is what we can do for the $6 million. The next one is just showing basically that same building, but just a little bit different on the exterior. So the idea here is whatever we develop, if we're fortunate to move forward on this project, is going to be tailored to be more specific to how the community would like it to look. And the top image is a little dark here, but it's basically showing at night the illumination of the building as well.
Thank you. Jim Tran, First West Bank. I've been with the bank since the Reagan administration. So we just, as Dan mentioned, the total costs are about $6 million, and the township would have about $2.5 million cash down, and we've approved them for a $3.5 million construction loan and mortgage. And typically on projects this size, we see the municipality or the township request a 15 or a 20-year amortization, which is a repayment period. The township requested a 10-year amortization, and we're totally okay with that because the cash flow to service the debt is so strong. So we look at the last 4 years of audited financial statements, and we figure the cash flow, what's left over after all the expenses, and we feel that they can easily service that over a 10-year repayment. There's essentially two parts to the loan. It would start as a construction loan, which would just be drawn as needed to pay the subcontractors. And then once the building's completely done and the occupancy permit's issued, we would convert that to what we call an end mortgage loan. And what that is principal and interest payments every month. And on the end mortgage, there's two options. Conventional bank loan would be a 5-year term with a 10-year amortization, or we have an interest rate swap product. Two advantages of that: you can lock the rate in for 10 years, so it's a 10-year fixed rate, which matches the amortization. And on that interest rate swap, you can lock the rate in now. So that's about all I had on the banking side. Let me see if I can get a few more slides here. And I've been with the bank 28 years. I can tell you it was a pretty easy loan to approve because of the strong cash flow. So it's got a very good debt service coverage. It could probably even handle a 7-year repayment, but 10 years is good. So I'll turn this over to me, and I'll be around for questions later.
Good evening. My name is Dave Meyer, and I'm with an accounting firm that does the audit for the township. And Ron asked me to be here tonight just to reiterate what some of the other gentlemen have said, that there's cash on hand available for this project that's been accumulating over the years based on the audited financial statements. And if the trend continues, certainly the money would be there to repay the bank loan, as Mr. Schramm just mentioned. And I don't have any slides, but I would be here available to field any questions if Mr. Alarico and his staff need assistance with those.
Thank you, gentlemen. Else, the other elected officials would like to say something.
Anybody else want to say anything?
I'll say something. Back on December 4th, this room was probably half filled, and at that time, there was a lot of questions being asked that we didn't have answers for, and the electors, meaning you, chose to table it and actually to instruct us to find those answers and try to make this project as clear as we can as far as where it's going to be built, the costs associated with it, and so on. At that time, we didn't do it because we were trying to save some money. The expense all to where we're at tonight. Obviously, over the last 4 months, a lot of time and effort went into this. We hired an architect, as you can see. So we answered, I hope, a lot of those questions that some of you had back in December. It did cost us some money to do. And, you know, it was the right thing to do. And I hope that everybody does keep an open mind. I would also say, and I know there's a lot of you are here. Some people approached me in the hallway in regards about raising taxes, and that ain't going to happen. There's 3 trustees here that will watch this project very closely. We will watch how this money is spent, and I think we're real close. You know, this money's been saved for well, probably before my time here, but this is something we're aiming for, and you know, it's not. It's for everybody, and I know there's residents from all over Lockport Township. Some residents have their own clubhouse. Some residences don't, and we feel as a township that we would like to take care of everybody, from the young to the seniors, and hopefully everybody keeps an open mind and really looks at this project and the homework we did, the money we spent so far, and like to see everybody taken care of in this township.
This township.
He said that for yourself. A lot of people have no idea who you are.
Downstairs.
I'm sorry, I'm John Bodisich.
I'm Mike Kelly, Township Trustee. This township has been diligent with their money. We've been saving this money for years for this project. You know, a lot of government entities are struggling. They don't have money to pay their bills. This township has watched every single penny that it's spent since I've been on this board. This township has saved this money for this project per Dave Meyer. He says you need to earmark this money, and this is to better the whole township, not just the 152 people that are in this room, but the 60,000 roughly residents that we have in Lockport Township. 60,000. So, like John said, keep your minds open, please, and that's all.
I'm Michael Lewandowski. I just wanted to say that Like we mentioned before, there is not going to be a property tax increase for this project. This money has already been saved over the years by nickels and dimes, and your taxes will not go up for this project. That's all.
Thank you. At this time, we will ask and entertain comments from you, the electors, taxpayers. My name is James. Please, like to limit your questions or comments to 2 minutes if we can.
And please go through.
Put those mics down, the wind is blowing on them.
My name is James McGuffick. I'm resident of Lockport, and you said that taxes wouldn't be raised. My question is, are there any other avenues of revenue that you're looking like is the stoplight cameras that they had and they remove them, or maybe raising water rates? To me, those are questions. I mean, there's always, even though you have to go to a referendum, there's always other ways to attack revenue, and I'm afraid that some of the townspeople here might go in other areas.
We don't have a water system. We do have a water system in the Fairmont area, but that is separate from the township. It's independent. That water takes care of itself and runs its own business. We can't use that water money for township. They're two separate entities. We don't, stoplight cameras, we don't have jurisdiction over highways, roads. We don't have that jurisdiction. That's Will County and the city of Lockport and the city of Crest Hill. We're township.
So we had those stoplight cameras.
Lockport, the city of Lockport, this is township. The township doesn't get the revenue from it.
Our highway commissioners in the back, do we have any street lights that are in unincorporated Lockport Township?
Street lights?
Street lights, red lights, green lights.
Red light cameras.
We have
Not that we have.
But we did in the past.
But no, I'm talking about in the township, in the township that is governed by the township, we have no street lights, correct?
If you're talking about red lights?
Yes, we have none.
Not that we take care of.
Right, it's all by the cities and counties and, right?
County and state. In the city.
We'd like to remind the people downstairs that if your comments are just as valid as those up here. So if you would like to speak or ask a question, make a comment, please come up here so that you can speak from the podium. Everyone's going to come to the podium to speak. So if you would like to make a comment from downstairs, we'd ask that you please come up here so that we can hear your comments from the podium. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave Dorr, Lockport Township resident. I had a question that you said took 10 years to save up $2.5 million. And we're going to get a 10-year loan at 3.5. How are we going to be paying that all back?
I'll let Dave answer that, or Baker answer that.
The annual debt service on the loan, which is simply 12 payment, the monthly payment times 12, would be about $432,000 per year. And we've calculated that the average annual cash flow, so that's after all the expenses, what's left over to service debt, is on average about 1.1 million. So it's about a 2.5 debt service coverage ratio. And our policy is at least 1.2, so we're well over that. Thank you.
Denise Marinowski, Lockport citizen. First of all, on your preliminary cost analysis, you have at the bottom, while you say it's going to cost $6 million, you have that this does not include site and financing costs. You only have $2.5 million. Is that correct? That's what you've saved in 10 years or whatever, how many years? You're going to be financing $3.5 million. We did not hear what the finance rate is going to be, what this loan will eventually cost us. Also to say that property taxes won't go up unless you go to referendum, that's not true. you only have to go to referendum, I believe, if you want to increase property taxes more than 5%. Otherwise, but you can go for the CPI every year and you will continually get increases. And so our taxes will go up.
Every taxing body does that.
They don't have to.
Yeah.
They do, but they don't have to. That's part of the problem with why our taxes keep going up, but that's not the issue. The issue is that this will cause our property taxes to go up, that we do not know the bottom line. And there are, you said 60,000 people that we should consider. They're not here, so let's go to referendum and see what they think.
If I may, 2.5 million. We also have almost $500,000 that is set aside for the land. So a total of 3 million. Referendum, you know, I don't know why referendum keeps being brought up, but we don't need to find any other revenue to pay for this project at this time.
Everyone has cast a vote.
Mr. Turner? I'd like to speak on this. I saw the presentation downstairs. I have a little bit of experience with government buildings, and most people know in this room that any government building that's ever been built has always had cost overruns. And so when they're saying that they're watching every penny, well, things come up, things happen. This building right now is projected at $6 million with and plus interest, etc. We're talking at a cost when it's done, 8 to 10 million. So the problem that I have here is that we have a government entity that has $2.5 million, so the rest of it has to be financed. They're also talking about using Park District land. Now the Park District land is not for office spaces, it's for Park District land, for recreation, etc. Office spaces are not recreation. So the problem is, and Denise Marinowski was correct, when they run out of money, then what they do is they keep raising the levy, and they raise it up against the limits, and they keep doing that every year. So your taxes go up. So when your taxes go up over a building that I question if it's needed, I saw the presentation, and people always say, what if, and it's going to cost us this much later. Every time a government building is proposed, they always say that it's going to cost you this much later. Economically, Lockport is still hurting. Lockport Township is still hurting. I just found out within the last week a house on my block was foreclosed on. It's still going on. Wall Street's making money, but the average person is not. And there is no guaranteed income. So the problem is that unless, if we don't spend the money, we should probably give it back. Thank you.
State your name. Delighting question. I don't doubt the sincerity of this township board and the need for a new township office. However, I know in Crest Hill, we would be happy to have you take over the old library at 1/10 the cost of what you're proposing. It's for sale right now. It's been for sale for almost a year. It's $650,000, and I bet you could get it for $600,000. It's a more modern building, what you have here. It's about 9,000 square feet. You'd have to do without the 5,000 square foot community center, but that's where we have gymnasiums and high schools and grade schools, and the Prairie Clubhouse you could do your community events in. I mean, at $600,000, even if you pay full price $650,000, that's less than the site development cost you have here of $752,000. You get the building, you get the land. There is an old 7-Eleven next door that the apartments there are using for a workout center. I'm sure for some amount, which would be substantially less than what you guys want to spend, you could acquire that to expand on in a community center or parking there later. I realize, you say our taxes aren't going to go up, but what the township is doing is increasing the long-term debt, which is not a wise thing to do.
My name is George Rudnicki. I live in Romeoville in Grand Haven, and I'm 77 years old, and I'm damn tired of taxes. Okay? I've been paying taxes to the state since the state tax came into play, and I paid more than my share. So let me tell you something. You build a bigger building, you're going to have more employees. Just look at the state of Illinois building downtown. They built all these offices, they didn't have anybody here at the beginning, before they filled them up right away. How many people are you going to hire? And are you going to guarantee the citizens that are here and beyond that there will be no tax increase at all for this for years to come? Can any of you say that? The only people making out here is the architect and the bankers. Okay, they're going to make money on it. Tell me what this is going to do since I live in Romeoville. What is it going to do for anybody in Romeoville? Are they going to come here to go to the, whatever you call it, the rec center or whatever, the room to play bingo? We have bingo halls all over the place in Romeoville. I think this is the worst decision this entity can make. Because if it's not the money,
Would anyone else like to make a comment? Please come to the podium.
My name is Susan Schnitker, and I'm a township resident. When I attended the last meeting, this was billed as a senior center. Now I'm going to assume that our trustees overlooked the reality. Why did you build this to me as a senior center when that was not the intent? So now you've built up an air of mistrust, and yet you've given us all these details and told us what will and will not happen. How can I trust what's being said when you misbuild it in the first place?
I've never said it was just a senior center, it was only the community center.
It's a building for our township, and that was not said. You've built an air of mistrust by the way you've done this. Sorry.
Lay it out in the
My name is Sue Beveridge, and I've been compiling information relative to seniors because based on the resolution of 29 and the ordinance of 2012, that everything is referring to senior communities, senior housing. So one thing that kind of dawned on me, how many seniors do we have? So we went and looked at the census and pulled up and made a chart looking at what's on the west side of the Range River and what's on the east side. And then looked in the phone book and on the computer how many people that are seniors are in gated communities. So we found that runs about 3,500. These are rough observations. And if the number of seniors is about 4,600 on the west side and about 2,300 on the east side, and a lot of them are already in gated communities, we're going to spend millions and millions and millions for 3,000 seniors. And do they even want it? We've talked to seniors. Some say, I'm 70 or 80. I want to live in my house. I don't want to go to a gated community. So there's that whole segment, and thinking of it in a very kind of urbanized viewpoint doesn't really reflect the history of Lockport Township, which comes from a very strong agricultural background. And farms, animals, crops still persist. they still contribute to the taxing base at the goods and services that happen in Lockport, in Romeoville, and Crest Hill. So I think more needs to be put into what do we need. And at the last meeting in December, that was an issue. What do we need? Rather than jump to, here's the building we may build, here's where we may build it, here are all the wonderful things it may have. Do we need it?
No.
My name's Mike Fuller, and I live in Crest Hill. I live in Caroline Lakes. I want to know two things. Do you need a 420% increase in office space? Because that's what you've got. And where did the $2.5 million come from? From that 2006 tax referendum for old people?
Combination of town fund and, use the mic. It's a combination of the town fund and the senior fund.
Do you need that much space? You need 420% increase in office
We did a
space?
space needs analysis, and that's what our architect.
Then why call it a senior center?
I've been calling it a community center. It's a community center. It's a combination of our senior fund and our town fund. We service seniors and we service the rest of the residents.
This project started for office because of this third floor that we're out of space. That's how this started, as we need office space. And over time, this community center, I think that's just kind of, it's not a community center. It's an office with a place where seniors, youth, or anybody could gather per the slideshow. We thought at that time, and still, that this is something that we can serve all the residents of Lockport Township. So mainly, we need it for office. We need to, we're out of storage, we're out of room. That's why this project got lifted off the ground.
Sir.
Hi, Larry Campbell, Crest Hill. I had a question with the architect. Did you say you designed the Pontiac new building, courthouses and that? But that scares me because when it was done, they could not use the courtrooms, as I understand, because of the noise and that in them. So how do we know that the building is going to be right? Is that true? They could not use the courtrooms?
They use the courtrooms, sir.
But they were so loud they couldn't hear them.
I really don't want to get into a discussion about that. What was the, we had a...
Could you go up to the microphone, please, so everybody downstairs can hear you?
Judges are special people, so if the HVAC is louder than they think it should be, it doesn't work. The reality is we hired Shiner, and Shiner, they're a firm out of Chicago, they're acusticians. They came and did a test, ran sound levels, and found that the courtrooms are in fact within the set standards that the government sets for county courtrooms. So the perception of, if it's too warm in a room, does that mean that the HVAC is off? Or does that maybe mean that the person that's saying that might just be a person that's always warm? And that's the reality of what that is. Those courtrooms have been used, and that is something that we have clearly shared with the county and working with the board so that they can understand that. And if, whether or not someone wants to believe that it's too loud, that's their, you know, they can do that.
As a moderator as well as a taxpayer, I object to you saying that somebody that didn't like a product that you were involved with are special people because they didn't like something that they got from you. I take exception to that. That people that have special needs and so forth. But when you say they are special people, when you respond to a complaint that he brought up, I take objection to that.
He was talking about the judges, sir.
I don't
Not
care.
him.
I don't care.
I'm
You
just
don't refer
saying,
to-
the
you don't
way you made
refer
it
to-
sound was he was talking about him and he wasn't.
We knew what he was talking about. Special judges are special. I'll just say, I know from my brother-in-law who lives there, that's what he told me, that they were so noisy. So, but I have one other question too. Have we gone out and looked at renting space and what the cost options of that would be, or did we just jump in and we wanted a new building? Because there's lots of spaces around for rent.
When we started the project, we rent this floor for $80,000 a year, okay? We don't own it, we rent it. City of Lockport, second floor, and first Park District. Now, because we rent, the goal was try to find a piece of land or property that was in the center of our township. And Renwick Road between 53 and Weber was basically in the center of our township. Fire station sitting in the center of our township. So we were looking somewhere where it would serve Crest Hill, parts of Ronaville, unincorporated, and also Lockport. So that's why our goal was to have it somewhere where it was in the middle that could serve everybody. We already rent, here. City of Lockport wants this floor, okay? Meeting we had with the Park District, and I'll speak for them a little bit, is they want us at that possible new location that you saw on the screen. So that's how we got to this point. We're already leasing this property here.
I'll just say, I know you want it located for everyone, but is it cost justified?
We also have looked, before we started this project, we looked at Kinetic, the building to rent that one over on, would be on the east side of Lockport here. We were looking at the old Dow Chemical Company before in Crest Hill, but that didn't work out. That got brought in as a trucking company. We have looked at other options. And most of the options were not very cost efficient.
Please state your name.
My name is Kristen Smith. I grew up in Homer Township and I now live in Lockport. I went to Lockport High School, so I've been entrenched in the community for a long time. I'm kind of disheartened by a lot of you in this room, to be honest. We talk about the foreclosures and things like that. Well, don't you feel like something that the community can use is going to raise your values to be able to help you? It will. You can't tell me it won't. You cannot tell me it won't. And the thing is, I would love to stay here and raise a family here and have services like that and space like that to be able to use. So this isn't just about right now, this is about the future too. And I don't think a lot of you are seeing that. And I have a question. I do have a question. So if you guys put this out to bid, okay? You put this out to bid, that is going to create a lot of jobs, correct?
No.
Who's going to build the building?
Other people.
I mean, we're talking about people who are in unions and all of this that don't have work right now. Don't we want them to work? Don't you have anybody in your family that is part of a pipe fitter union, electricians union, carpenters union, anything like that at all? Don't you want them to have jobs too? I mean, I'm shocked at all the negativity in this room. I really am, and it's really disheartening. I'm sad that.
Please let her speak.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? I can't even get a little respect. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable because I'm younger. I don't deserve the respect. It's ridiculous.
I respect you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And you may not agree with me. Nobody, you know, most of you have your mind made up already, so nothing that anybody's going to say is going to change that because you're very closed-minded, and I'm sorry for that.
My name is Gary Engelman. I'm a resident of Lockport Township in Crest Hill. One quick question. Have you considered the problem of noise in as much as it's directly in a flight path to Lewis?
There's a fire station in
He left the room, so I don't know how to respond to that. You know, it's by an airport. You got a park district, you got golf course. I'm sure the golfers wait before they tee off when the plane goes by. I don't know how to answer that.
Sir? I'm gonna, okay. First of all, my name is Bob Baldwin. I live on Lily Lake Lane in Caroline Lakes. I'm gonna ask what may be a stupid question, but since I've lived here since '06, for the life of me, I have been trying to figure out what Lockport Township does for me. In other words, what services do I get? The other thing I have to point out is the bigger, I'm an ex-grocery manager, supermarket, and back so many years ago, I don't really want to mention, when I was a manager, the chain that I worked for started building all the new buildings with virtually no back room. The logic to that was, they told me, is we don't want you to fill up the back room with inventory because that costs more money. In essence, you learn how to write your orders so that you can fill up that small back room instead of a large back room. My attitude as a taxpayer is this: you build a bigger building, you're gonna hire more employees. When I have the attitude government should be trying to go out of business, not add.
In response to that, real quick, I've lived here for over 60 years now. I've never called the fire department, and I hope I never do, but that doesn't mean I don't want their services.
Hi, my name is Madison Kozlowski, and I'm a resident of Lockport. I was just wondering, in the beginning you said it took a lot of money to pay for tonight, like all the 4 months that it took you guys, you know, to get this together, to ask the architects to come and everything like that. Where did that money come from, and how much did that cost? And also, what are you going to do with this building? Like, growing up, I've always seen this building as like, you know, such like a landmark, like everyone knew this building. Like, is it going to go to waste, or like what's going to happen to this building?
As I stated earlier, the city of Lockport needs space also, so they're going to use both floors.
Okay.
The city of Lockport.
What about
which is different.
Okay. Okay, so paying though, you said it took a lot of money for us, you know, because last time we didn't have enough information for all of us and everything like that, you know, so.
It took money to get to this point to answer the questions that were raised back in December 4th. I mean, hiring the architect. What else was there, Ron?
We were going after grants, the attorney fees to go over all the legal.
So what figure are we at? I think
I'm saying, you know, I'm guessing off the top of my head, and it can't be held to this, but I'm anywhere between $20,000.
So did that come out of the money that's going to go towards
And it just
the
came
community
out
center?
of it came out of our funds.
Our projects, line item.
Okay, thank you.
Would you repeat the amount that in here?
15 to 20,000, he said, approximately.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ken Griffin, and I live in Romeoville. Before we start beating people, I'm in the Plainfield School District too, so for those of you who are complaining about taxes, there's a whole lot of people that should be in line ahead of the township when it comes to my tax bill. The portion of my tax bill that the township takes up is minuscule compared to others. My other point is, have any of you tried to do business in this building? you know, the township is a business, that there are some legitimate legal functions that they have to do. Have you ever had to come here and have a private conversation with anybody? You can't have one. If you've got somebody standing behind you and you need assistance or something else, first of all, for those folks in the community who need it, that's a really difficult thing to do, but to have to do it publicly while you got 3 people standing behind you listening to that, this building to function as a government office is an embarrassment. It's laid out so poorly and everything is jury-rigged. When tonight the wind was blowing the microphones so you had to move them so that people could hear is a small demonstration of how antiquated this facility is to do business in this day and age. The other thing is, I'm retired too. I don't like taxes any more than anybody else. But if our parents had felt the same way about things, what would we not have today that we enjoyed as children? I didn't have a lot of places to go. I had to go to the boys club when I wanted a gym or something else to do. Here's an opportunity for us to do something for our kids. It's a smart program. It's being built on property that they share with the Park District. They can take advantage of each other's facilities. And you may not agree, but I think it's very foresighted to do, and I hope it gets done.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to make a comment?
Good evening. My name is Carl Beveridge. I've lived here in Lockport Township, the same location since 1977. My concerns are that contrary to what's been portrayed today, most of the questions that were raised December 4th have not been answered so far. We've been presented with an either-or situation. It's either nothing or the $6 million plus project that was presented this evening. There are options in between. There's $2.5 million, according to what we've been told tonight, available for building or renting facilities that would take care of the township needs. I don't think anyone is challenging that office space is needed to conduct township business, but it's a question of what's the most efficient way to achieve that goal. Do we need to build a $6 million plus facility in order to achieve that, or can existing facilities be renovated to take care of township business and provide the additional office space that clearly is needed for records and tax management and the other activities that the township conducts? I haven't seen anything presented here tonight that suggests a justification for a $6 to $8 million or $10 million price tag. One of the things that hasn't come up in this discussion is what about Redwick Road and modifications that might need to be made to that in order to facilitate the increased traffic flow that would come into this community center. The 2009 resolution and subsequent language always talked about a senior center. Now it's morphing into something called a community center. I don't think we have a clear idea of what it is that we want, and to promote this as the only option to solve the township's problem for the need for office space seems to me stretching it a good deal. So I have to say I don't think you've made your case for the need for a plan of this sort, and we need to see what the total cost is likely to be, considering all of the factors that would be involved in the construction of this project, not just those associated with the building. As far as I know, there is no arrangement with the Park District for use of that land. There's no agreement that has been reached between the Park District. And another question that came up in December and that still remains unresolved. We have park districts, we have school districts, we have library districts, we have fire districts, and yet among all of these we can't seem to find the space in all of the buildings that currently exist to conduct township business. Maybe it's time that these various districts work together instead of separate fiefdoms in order to economize on the taxes that we all pay. There's $2.5 million sitting out there of your money. It's easy for them to to spend other people's money, your money. And you need to think about that. You've already paid in here through tax levies to accumulate that amount of money. And the question is, how do you most wisely use it to accomplish the needs? We heard earlier the question raised. What are the needs? What are the real needs that the township has? And then one last point. The governor has put together a task force to look at the question of the need for township governments in at least some portions of the state. There are positions that township government is an outmoded form of government, that the functions can be absorbed either at the county level or at the municipal level. And so the question is, are we just layering on? I mean, we all have pie-in-the-sky ideas about what we'd like to have, and we want to pass on better things to the next generation, but we have to also live within our means. Thank you.
People downstairs, if any want to come up to address anyone, I know one or two of you have come up. Just please remember that if you want to address everyone, then please come upstairs to the podium. Thank you.
My name is Randy Gondek. I'm in Lockport Township, unincorporated. All those people that moved into Caroline Lakes, we live right in front of you, and let me tell you, you took the view right away from us. Okay. And with that regard, when that went on, the current mayor of Crest Hill at that time said, we could go and incorporate you, and yes, we have a nice little well in our backyard that supplies all the water we need, but you could hook onto our city water for only $15,000. I don't want to be incorporated. I'm fine just the way I am. I appreciate, I mean, we went and we gave donuts to the Lockport Township Highway Commission because of the great job they did last year. You guys do a good job. And I don't think you people appreciate it because, you know, Romeoville has this sky-high recreation center that we don't get to use because we don't live in Romeoville. We don't have anything because we're unincorporated. Yet we pay all the taxes. I can guarantee you we pay more taxes than you people do because of where we live. You know what? You know how many kids of mine go to school around here? None. You know how many kids? None. Yeah, we're paying $8,000 a year to the school we are at. Why? What benefit do I get out of that? None. Excuse me? I'm commenting to what he said about, you know, oh, we can get rid of it because we don't need Lockport Township anymore. Did he not just say that?
Yes, he did.
Yes,
okay.
but I was trying to get him to stop his discussion because it was off topic.
But you didn't mention it to him, did you?
And that has nothing to do with this project. Right?
I think it's needed, and I think you deserve it. Thank you. And
absolutely.
Thank you.
There's a comment made about, the gentleman said about the deal with the Park District. I sat in a meeting with the Park District, and a deal has been worked out. You know, there's issues and comments and statements on paper. It's been worked out. Now, does it need to be fine-tuned? Yes, it does. But it's been worked out. To say that we're not there compared to December 4th is a false statement, sir. It's false.
Show us. Jim, would you come up to the podium? It is in the concept. Come up to the podium, Jim. Please identify yourself.
Jim Louch, I'm on the park board. We all know it's a concept right now. This plan is the first I've seen of it in any of the park board members also. So it is a concept, as you said about the car.
The concept is Are we talking about the parking lot and the lease that we talked about and the amount of money that we would spend to put the parking lot in for the park district?
Yes, but the point is that it hasn't been presented to the full board and voted on.
Correct. But there's 3 board members present with us.
We can't vote.
Which we can't even talk
And you're
about.
right, and it has not been voted on. But my personal opinion, we're 90% close, so.
He's the landlord.
Just a matter of clarification. But there has been communication, a lot of communication with the park district.
Good evening. My name is John Barbush. I'm a township resident in Romeoville. And I, for one, do appreciate the work and the labor that goes into the hard work that goes into trying to produce a capital project that this is. I do understand that there was a needs analysis. Based on what I saw, the needs analysis was rather subjective to what the needs of those that are employed need for space. There's an old expression, it's a proverb, it says, who would build a tower without first counting the costs? Now, the costs are not just in dollars and cents on the front end, but it was referenced by a couple of people about the idea that we're looking at a legacy for those that go beyond it or go after us. And that's valid. But I hear a lot of talk here this evening from both sides of the fence here regarding feelings. I feel this, I feel that. But in fact, what we need is a complete analysis, a needs analysis from the point of view of the people, so that there is an understanding of what the people need now and in the future, what the people want in balance to those needs. And that kind of needs analysis would precede a needs fulfillment that, unfortunately, without a complete needs analysis, we're going to have to decide tonight if it goes forward or not. And I think that, as was pointed out by you, sir, that the questions that were presented December 4th were not entirely prepared to be answered, and so you had to do the right thing, is what you said, the right thing, and spend the approximately $20,000 so that we could have this rather subjective, in my opinion, view of a needs analysis, and not really objective for all of the people of the township, be it 60,000 or 70,000 people that are here. When in balance to that 60 or 70,000, we were also told, and very well put by the lady that brought up some stats and demographics, that it's not all the people that are concerned about having such a capital project. Capital projects can be of an advantage, and we all have feelings about that. But I think we should step beyond the feelings, if that's even possible at this point, and look at some hard demographic numbers and how the people feel about it for a good, balanced, objective view, in my opinion. Thank you.
You want to come up to the man? You come up to the middle one. Thank you for coming upstairs.
I have a question. I'm Donna Sharon.
Name, please. You give us your name, please.
I'm Donna Sharon. I reside in Lockport Township. I was downstairs, so sometimes we lost the clear communication. But maybe I missed it. But I would like to know how much square space would be devoted for each employee, because I kept hearing over and over again, we don't have enough office space. Has there been any square footage allowed for each employee? And how much would that be?
I'd have to ask the architect on that. He did the space needs analysis on it.
I don't have that. figure.
It's in the presentation.
That's for a 420% increase in space.
See, my experience had been, when I went into the assessor's office, there was quite a bit of space for me to come from the door to the counter. And the first time I went to the assessor's office here, I was shown this, to not enter the assessor's office. And I thought, my goodness, there's a lot of space between the door and here, and I thought there was nobody else in that room. So unlike the gentleman who said he had to conduct business with 3 people behind him or 3 people in front of him, that was not my experience. And I wondered why we couldn't remodel and reconfigure that existing space, because I had several jobs like Navistar where we worked in cubicles. And you know what? A lot of Fortune 500 companies have engineers, managers, administrative assistants, people of all kinds of wonderful, good-paying American jobs, and they can function very well in a cubicle. That's why my question is, how many square feet do you plan to give each Lockport Township employee? Thank you.
I call to the vote.
Everybody goes home.
As the moderator, I had an opportunity to ask any questions, and I intended that when everyone spoke their piece that I would get up and go to the podium and to expedite things. I had a couple of questions. When the park board president came up to the podium, when you purchased the land or got the land from the state, does it allow you in that agreement to have office space and have this type of use on that property?
I believe it does, and it also provides some multi-purpose and community space, which would enhance it from a recreational point of view as well.
There was some allusion to the initial resolution as to where the money started being accumulated from. And do we know exactly how much money was accumulated from that particular resolution, or for that particular resolution's needs? What portion of the $2.5 million that you have set aside is from that? And were those needs just for senior services, and were they defined at all, or were they broad and just saying senior services?
It's our council question, I would think.
Well, if you're, the plan, as it was expressed, was to put aside $2.5 million of current resources, which would still leave the town fund and the senior fund with ample resources to continue into the future. And the senior fund, when it came into existence, had 0, and the plan was to use $1 million of accumulated resources towards this project. So
when you say it was planned, you're saying when that resolution was passed that you were putting money aside for seniors. At that time, you were going to put $1 million aside for a building, or now you're saying that you're going to take $1 million of those funds and put them aside for this building? When was that $1 million figure arrived at?
Well, that's not my decision to put the money aside. This is just, I'm only explaining what has been accumulated in the fund since its inception.
I'm not trying to put anybody in the spot, but we keep talking about the money was put aside for this. We got $2.5 million, and I was at the December meeting, and the question was raised, I believe, and you respond to it. Well, how much money do we have? Well, we think we have $2 million, and I think we have another $2 million over here, so we probably have $4 million for this project. it's different than what we're hearing today. And so I wanted to find out, first of all, what did the resolution 10, 12 years ago, whenever that resolution was passed, what was the resolution passed for? And how much money is still in the bank from that resolution that could be put towards this building?
Well, there's two resolutions that were passed, one in 2009 and one in 2012. 2009, the resolution reads as, whereas the Lockport Township Board of Trustees is empowered with the authority to oversee and maintain matters in Lockport Township, and whereas Lockport Township Board of Trustees annual budget for various costs, fees, expenses, and services to be provided within Lockport Township, and whereas prudent to 61 LCS law statute, the Lockport Township Board of Trustees is empowered to accumulate money in a dedicated fund for specific capital construction and maintenance projects or a major equipment purchase, and whereas Lockport Township Board of Trustees desire to maintain such an account for the utilization and expense in the future for, among other things, acquisition of land, promoting, developing senior housing, developing and construction of potential senior center, development and construction of township building, or various capital improvements to the township-owned property.
Any other one?
One longer. Whereas the township board desires to maintain such an account, committed fund for the utilization expenses within the 10 years of any extension to said time frame, as needed due to the availability of land, the cost and the expense of construction, and then current needs for senior projects within the township, Lockport Township, for, among other things, the acquisition of land, which has not yet been identified, promoting and developing the senior housing, development and construction of a potential senior center, and the development and construction of township building, various capital improvements to the township property owned. Therefore, that it be ordained by the Township of Lockport, Board of Trustees, Will County, Illinois, as follows. Section 1. Lockport Township is hereby committing the township balance fund in the amount of $1 million.
Please let him finish.
Let me read it, I'll read it.
Your moderator asked him the question. Let him answer his question. He didn't have a chance to ask a question. You all did.
Well,
let him finish.
Speak to the mic so we can hear him.
Yes,
because we can't understand half of what he's saying. What's the point?
Because your moderator asked him this question, so he's answering his question.
They can't hear.
They can't hear what he's saying. Well, they need to stop talking then.
He needs to speak more clearly.
I think that he sufficiently demonstrated that they had on two different occasions rather broadly agreed to collect money from taxpayers for purposes like they're proposing doing, and that it was not restricted to a specific cause, building, and so that answers my question. But I still don't know how much of that money that was put aside for that is the $2.5 million, or is that other general revenue that the township has in the bank that they can put towards this. Do you know what those different figures are?
I can tell you what the figures were at the end of the fiscal year 2014. That was from the audited financial statements.
Okay.
The 2015 financial statements have not been audited yet. I do have figures. Right now, at the end of February of 2015, the town fund had approximately $2.7 million, of which, as I understand the plan, 1.5 million was going to go for the building project. That's 1.5 out of the 2.5. which would leave the town fund with 1.2 million of continued reserves for continuous operations. The senior fund had about $2.1 million at the end of 2015, of which $1 million would go for the project and another $1 million would still be on hand for continued operations.
Okay.
Okay. I'm really drawn between being a moderator and a taxpayer that wants to gets questions answered. Sorry. That's why we
And then also they're going to call anybody should pay our election.
There are comments from downstairs about maintaining the 2-minute limit to everyone speaking, including your own.
Thank you.
Call for a vote.
Look for a motion to call the vote.
What, I motion to call the vote.
It's the resolution that you're approving.
I second it.
The clerk will read the resolution that we will be voting on.
I make the motion to call the vote.
And then,
My name is Fred London.
thank you. So your name, please, ma'am?
Jacqueline Mathis.
And then can there be a vote on that? There was a motion, a second to close, to call the question. And there wasn't a vote.
All in favor? Please raise your hand. Discussion. We're not voting, we're closing the discussion. All in favor of closing the discussion, please raise your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. That's in the affirmative, that we will have no further comments. I would ask the clerk to read the proposed resolution that they're asking for a vote on.
Okay, the resolution is, the number is 2015-2. Whereas an annual town meeting held on April 14, 2015 at 6:30 p.m. at 222 East 9th Street, Central Square, room 318, Lockport, Illinois, and invited by posted legal notice all legal voters, residents of Lockport Township, Will County, Illinois, at the annual town meeting. And whereas the Lockport Township Clerk, Denise Rumchek, posted all requisite notices of said annual town meeting, and whereas the legal voters, residents of Lockport Township, electors, were asked to authorize a request of electors for authorization to rent or purchase property upon which Township Center will be constructed. The question, and request of electors for authorization to construct Township Center along with any and all vendor and contractor contracts as required. The question, whereas the Lockport Township Clerk verified the electors present who are registered voters and residents of Lockport Township as being qualified to cast a vote on the authorization. Whereas the Lockport Township Clerk either distribute ballots or a voice vote was taken to such elector, and such elector voted on the question presented, and the results tabulated of said election. And then it goes on to say, now be therefore resolved by the electors, either you're going to affirm or decline this. So I would ask now that the moderator.
There needs to be a correction. Yes, it says in here, voice vote, this needs to be changed to a hand vote.
Okay, we can absolutely do that.
From the floor, a comment was made for a correction that we will be having a vote held by hand vote rather than by voice vote or by written ballot. So it will be amended to being handled through a hand count rather than a voice count or written ballot.
Point of order, didn't we already make that motion a couple hours ago?
But she has to read it for the resolution.
But the resolution has to be amended.
The way that was presented.
Point of order here regarding the resolution. Are there two questions that are beat that we're voting on?
Please come to the podium.
In looking at this resolution, there appear to be two questions that we're to vote on tonight. I'm just looking for clarification in this. One has to do with the lease of land, all right? One has to do with authorization to construct on that land. Is that correct? Well, but there's two things that we're to vote on, is that correct? Or are we voting on for everything? It's all or nothing?
Okay. I have to defer to the council. We will have to have two votes. Now, I'm not sure how we can vote on a resolution that's written as one resolution and have two votes. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know how to do that.
So you've got two questions. You have question A and question B. The first one will be a question A. The second one will be a question B.
But it's listed as one resolution.
Correct, but it also has two listed questions.
So it's all or nothing.
If you understand what council is saying, that if you were able to pick up one of the resolutions that was on the back table, I don't know if they ran out or not, but if you were able to pick them up, this is what the clerk read. And she read in series A and B. Council is saying that although they are on the same resolution number, that we will be voting separately on A and B.
Why didn't council catch that beforehand?
Okay, and so A, the first vote will be thank you. A, which would be the first, is request of electors for authorization to rent or purchase property upon which Township Center will be constructed. So our first vote will be on what I just read, for the rent or purchase of property for the Township Center that we've been speaking about tonight. So we will have a hand vote on the first portion for rental or purchase of land for this specific purpose. All in favor, please raise your hand. Hopefully someone is counting downstairs.
Could everybody raise their hands high so we can...
One more time, please stand up. Stand up.
Yeah, I think we can see.
Point of order, please. I'd like to, we may, we're just concede the vote that this is not going to pass.
Also want to ask downstairs, make sure that everybody downstairs.
Right, that's the other.
So, yeah, if someone from downstairs would please come up with the count for the affirmative for the purchase or rental.
How many people were down there?
33.
So
So we have 13 affirmative from downstairs, and you had 30 affirmative votes from upstairs. Is that what you said? So 43. So 43 affirmative votes. All those who vote no for the purchase or rental of property, please raise your hand.
That was a good idea.
You're not going to have that
We have 18 no downstairs. Total of 31. All right. Okay, we have 18 no votes downstairs and 107 upstairs, giving us a total of 125 no votes, 43 affirmative, 143 no votes. The noes had it.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to make a motion to use the previous count for the next...
For the second resolution?
Second resolution.
That's a good time statement. I'd second that.
Okay.
Then all in favor?
Okay, you know who seconded it? Okay. All those in favor of using the previous vote for the second part of the resolution, please raise your hands. We have it. Resolutions have been voted down. Motion to adjourn.
Well, that's my job.
Clerk has to do the thing. Almost done. Almost done.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Is there anyone else that has any other matters of any other electors that have any matters to bring to the board? Second time, is there anyone that has anything else to bring before the board? And a third time, are there any electors that have anything further to bring before the board? Please go to the podium. Please be brief.
Again, my name is John Barbush in Romeoville, Lockport Township. On behalf of the needs that do remain and have been made clear, can we look at what can be done as an alternative to what has been voted down tonight? Can we look at whether it's the rebuilding of this third floor or some alternative? Can we look at that at a future date?